There's a specific kind of silence you only find in Sapporo. It isn't emptiness, it is a soothing calm. And the only way to let it truly envelop you is to let the north slowly pull you in. You cannot rush towards it by air, but instead, taking the rail, watching the burning autumn colors of the mainland slowly cool into the blue of the north.
お降りの際は足元にご注意ください。ご乗車ありがとうございました。
Thank you for riding with us to Hokkaido. This is Shin Hakodate Station.
Arriving in Hakodate, I was immediately embraced by the icy winds mixing with the moisture of the sea, giving the cold an extra sharp bite. Being my first time in Hokkaido, and only having one night in this beautiful city, I didn't have the luxury of comfort. Not when the $1 million view atop Mount Hakodate awaited, with even icier clutches. I dropped off my luggage and hurried for the bus terminal. It was the most efficient path to the gondola station, and the final stop to completing the very first objective of this trip.
ちらからです。
The view atop the mountain was truly spectacular, and I was thankful even more adverse weather didn't get in the way of my only chance at seeing it. But it was time to balance the ice with a little bit of fire in the form of piping hot ramen and gyoza, of course. The Yondaime Aburi Karamiso, meaning fourth generation seared spicy miso, had plenty of kick, which was not gained at the expense of flavor. The broth was rich, textured, and had that experienced taste I expected from a dish of this region. The gyoza too were expertly crafted to be crunchy on the outside, and just the right amount of mochi-like gooiness on the inside. With a well-balanced and well-seasoned pork filling, it was the perfect complement to the meal. After a good night's sleep, it was time to jump on the bus and make our way to another landmark, Goryokaku, the star-shaped fort. Most people just see a cool star shape, but this place is actually a time capsule of a country in transition. It was Japan's first Western-style fortress, designed in 1855 by a scholar who had never actually seen a European castle. He just studied books on French military architecture. The star shape isn't just for looks. It is, after all, a military fortress. It was designed to eliminate blind spots so defenders could cross fire at anyone trying to scale the walls. But the real story is what happened in 1869. This was the site of the last stand of the samurai. A breakaway group of rebels declared this island the Republic of Ezo, Japan's first and only attempt at a democracy separate from the emperor. It lasted for about 5 months. The dream died right here in these trenches, along with Hijikata Toshizo, the legendary vice commander of the Shinsengumi. Now, it's just a peaceful park with over 1,600 cherry blossom trees. But if you look closely at the edges, you can still see the scars of a different era. The fort was beautiful, and I definitely spent more time exploring its incredible aesthetic than I had originally planned. It was time, however, to rush back to the train station and head to Sapporo by following the coast all the way around Uchura Bay. My evening arrival in Sapporo was welcomed by blizzard-like conditions, and I hid from the snow in my hotel for the night. I woke up early and was surprised that most of the snow had already melted, which in this case was great because my plan for a brand new city was to walk endlessly and explore its downtown core. I made my way past the red brick building, the former Hokkaido government office, the famous clock tower, which is practically Sapporo's mascot, and of course we had to visit the famous TV tower, even though that was not my target during the day. The architecture is simply stunning, but the energy of the city is nuanced, layered even. It feels different here, like turn-of-the-century brick from Boston's Beacon Hill or a slice of the Manhattan grid. This can be traced back to the Kaitakushi, a development commission formed in the 1870s, which hired American advisors to help design the city. Their mark is clearly felt. I plan to come back and fully immerse myself in that energy in the evening. But speaking of the Kaitakushi, my primary objective was a direct product of that exact same era, and that product would take us to the Sapporo Beer Museum. The museum itself was great, and it was a visually rich experience, having interactive panels explaining the events that have built Sapporo to what it is today, as well as the logos and posters clearly defining the historical stepping stones in its journey. However, we all know full well why I came here, and it wasn't only to learn more about the Kaitakushi, but also to drink the Sapporo variant that bears their name. It is an unfiltered brew recreating the exact recipe from its time. Because it still has the living yeast, it doesn't taste like a standard lager. It's incredibly crisp with a dry, almost fruity profile that drinks more like a white wine. And the rarest part? You can't export this. You can't even buy it in Tokyo. To drink this beer, you have to be standing right here in the place where it was born. In one word, legendary. With the sun setting and my primary mission accomplished, I decided to squeeze in one more stop at Hokkaido University Museum. The campus grounds were beautiful, and the museum exhibits struck a unique balance. They were both scientific, but also had a distinct movie prop aesthetic to them. It was an excellent experience I would strongly recommend, and free to boot. Sadly, due to a public holiday, the TV tower was closed for the evening. So instead, I made my way back to the JR station for another Sapporo specialty, soup curry. I had heard this was a must-try in Sapporo. And don't worry, I definitely had my fill of sushi and raw seafood on this trip, but this felt like a unique departure from my usual choices. I went with the seafood variant and medium spicy for my first attempt so I could really taste the profile. The flavors were deep and layered, like a rose revealing its many petals. Paired with a plate of rice to dip into the broth, it was magnificent. The perfect experience after walking around in the cold all day. The following day brought a difficult decision. I cut Otaru from the itinerary. I felt I had barely scratched the surface of Sapporo and had to prioritize depth over distance. Plus, I still had unfinished business with that tower. I spent the daylight hours exploring the quiet beauty of Nakajima Park and the culinary history of Ramen Alley, biding my time until the sun went down. I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but the miso ramen was flawless. It was incredibly well balanced, with the perfect texture, and as always, served piping hot. Honestly, it all makes sense. This isn't just another local specialty. Sapporo is the literal birthplace of the dish. As evening fell, I made my way through the neon-drenched chaos of the Tsukino shopping district and finally to that tower. Standing there, above the city, looking out over the grid, I realized I have come to love Sapporo, its energy, its people, and everything in between. I will definitely return. Before diving back into the controlled intensity of Tokyo, I had one final mission on the itinerary: to explore one of the most beautiful cities in Japan, Sendai. The plan was simple. I'd set up base camp near the primary JR Sendai station, wake up early, and walk down the famous Jozenji-dori to witness the trees in their peak autumn colors. From there, I would follow the river and hike all the way up to the historic remains of Aoba Castle. The hike up to the castle is worth the effort. At the summit, you're greeted by the city's founder, Date Masamune, known as the One-Eyed Dragon. He was a powerful feudal lord who established Sendai over 400 years ago. He chose this high ground with a strategic mindset to keep a watchful eye over his domain. While the castle is mostly gone, we get to continue enjoying the stunning view. The cityscape, wrapped in the beautiful autumn colors, was the perfect way to end the day, and with it, the trip. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.